You know what's telling? What's telling is when people expect you to come through like you've always done and put the fires out. Nothing happens unless you're the person to come in and save the day. Ladies, let me tell you, because we are back at the table. We are back at the dining room table because we're about to have those discussions. Let's talk about that savior complex, shall we? Hello and welcome to Ladies Listen Up. I am your host, Gwendolyn, G.R. Houston Jack. Oh, where should I start? Now, let me put a little time stamp on this conversation because some of you may very well recognize with being part of the 92%, right? And how in this moment in time in America, people are looking for Black women to show up and help put out a couple of fires. Because historically, Black women have always been putting out fires. We have always been taking care of other people, putting ourselves second, making sure that everything is good before we sit down, eat, enjoy the day, get our own work done. We have always done that. I mean, think about it. If you really look at some of your top performers in a business, in this organization, you may very well find that some of the very best leaders are Black women. Hear me clearly. This is not to say that there are not other women of other ethnicities and races or what have you who are not great leaders. I'm speaking from my own perspective right here. But there's a tying thread to all of this. I always love when people talk about Black women being unable to love Black women because they're so hard. And they're so angry and they're so attitudinal. And it's just so hard to work with Black women because yet and still, it does not escape me that the same Black women that are so hard, so attitudinal, so angry are the same Black women that for years and even today are the same women that you trust with your kids, to raise your kids, to prepare your meals, to lead your team, to help you get things done. It's that woman, that same woman. So make it make sense to me. I have seen my grandmothers, my aunties, my mother. I've seen amazing, beautiful women in my life go all out. And I'm gonna even go so far as to say, perhaps take on a more traditional role because that is what was modeled for them and that is what was available. You know, it takes a lot to be that woman who goes against the grain, really. Especially in that time. It takes a lot to be that one. So it's not unusual for me to see any Black woman who wants to go all out and is so extremely giving, forgiving, available, empathetic, all the things. She is all the things. Because she has been all the things for a very long time. But it's a new day. It is a new day. For a number of reasons, it is a new day. And if you're here watching this show, getting involved in this conversation, you are also saying it's a new day for you too. It's a new day. There is a place in my heart, because I've suffered from this too, this savior complex, where it is our job to save everybody. It is not our job. And so here is today's message. We gotta let it burn. Oh, where do I start with my own story? Let me start as a kid, because as a kid, there were some situations in our home that pushed me into a specific role in our household. Now, by nature, I am a Virgo. I know some of you guys are not about the zodiac sign. Gwendolyn is. I'm about the zodiac sign. I believe in most of those characteristics. Not all of them, like the ones that make sense, because some of them are like ridiculous. But I do believe in that. I also believe in the Chinese zodiac sign. So I am a rabbit and I am a Virgo. And Virgos have been known to be extremely organized, meticulous persons who are also very giving and nurturing. Most of us are ride or die. Now, we can be petty. We don't forget much. If we do, there's a very good chance we're lying to you, because we have not forgotten. That's the pettiness in us. We have not forgotten. So my mother suffered from manic depression when I was young. Like after every child she had, there was some chemical imbalance that sent her over the loop. And as a little one, I didn't really get it. But then as I got older, I was like, whoa. I mean, I remember being at church and we were at the fellowship hour. And you know how you have like the big open space and there's the punch and the cookies and everybody's talking and fellowshipping. And mother is about to have an episode. And all I know is cookies went flying and punch bowls and stuff. And it was like, how do you hold her down? Because that power, it's real. It's real. And then later on that night, when she got to the house, I recall my auntie coming over and there was like containers with flour and sugar and stuff being tossed here and there. And I could have sworn the VCR went out the window. It was just a lot. It was a lot. So as a kid, we kind of saw it. Well, I didn't say kind of. We saw it, didn't really understand it per se. But as I got older, I took on the role of how can I help my dad get stuff done, right? Like we are going to call her job. She's out. She's going to be sick for a little bit. She's in the hospital. Didn't say which one. She's in the hospital. Yada, yada, yada. So that Pops can take care of his wife and then the house just gets going. So this becomes my role for me, is to step in and take care of stuff and make sure that all is well and everybody's good and yada, yada, yada. Well, time goes on. And there are periods where my mother is on her medication and she's great because she's on her medication. But when she's off her medication, then she's not great. And I recall, it was like 2007. I want to say I was in Seattle and I got a call from my sister that she was about to start going that way. And I'm thinking, I'm in Seattle. There's nothing I can do. I'm in Seattle. There's like nothing I can do. But I recall asking a friend to slide by the house and just, say hello, check on her, see what's going on, give me a visual of what's happening. He's like, I went to the house. She seemed okay, a little extra, but the house looked fine. What's interesting is you can put stuff back when you know people are coming, and then it can go right back to the way it was when people aren't really looking, right? But that was the role. The role was to take care of all the things, even so much so that when my father became ill with lung cancer, taking him to his doctor appointments, carrying a phone into the appointment to record the doctor so I can transcribe it and let the family know, here's what's going on. There was always this place of, Gwendolyn will save the day. And not that people ever said it, it just kind of happened. And because it just kind of happened, I kind of, shouldn't say kind of, we got to stop saying kind of, let's own this. I stayed there. I stayed there. I stayed in this place of, let me save all the people and do all the things and put myself aside. I think about my health at work when I clearly had this cyst that I could see. I could touch it. That's how bad it was. I could touch the cyst. And I was like, oh, I'll go in for a doctor's appointment after this campaign is over because we're in our sales season. I can't leave now. We're in the sales season. I know. Young and ultra committed to someone else's dream. And after I had that surgery, I came back like right afterwards, not being released by the doctor because I didn't know I had to be released by my doctor. Neither did the manager at the time because clearly she didn't get it either. But I was in so much pain and tried to stick it out. And then I called my mother. I said, I need help. I need you to come get me. And she's like, well, did your doctor release you? And I was like, release me? From what? She said, to go back to work. No. Didn't know that was supposed to happen. All I knew was I had my surgery. It was over. And although I was healing, I should be here to help the team, yada, yada, and yada. Ridiculous. You look back now, you're like, really? You did that, kid? Seriously? But then let's talk about our family members. That when something's happening, you're the person that they call to save the day. And that could be in regards to handling family squabbles and disagreements. It could be you're the person to give money all the time. It could be you're the person who is the taxi cab or the bus driver. We have all these things. And there has to be a point, though, where you say, I can't keep doing this. This is not sustainable as the way to live life. Now, we talked about this. That for some people, the simple act of being needed becomes their persona. It becomes who they are. It is all they know to do. And if they're not needed, now what? Now what happens? I actually have to get out and live my life and show up for myself? No, I can't do that. No way. Look, I'm an auntie. I'm an auntie and a grandmother. It's so hard sometimes to see our loved ones, our grandbabies, our nieces, our nephews in a place where they're suffering. You see them flailing. Now, we have all walked this path. We got cheat codes. So if I come to you and say, look, times are about to get hard. Stack up on rice, beans, pastas, yada, yada. It's because we've been there before. You let these kids tell it, we don't know anything until they are flailing and drowning. But you know what? People have to drown. And this is not a tough love conversation. I want to make sure we're clear here. This is about us moving away from being enablers. People are only going to grow if you give them the space to grow. And as long as you're there as the training wheels, the crutches, they're not going to grow. They're not going to change their behavior. So yes, you can create the boundaries, but you got to change your behavior to say, no, this is a real boundary. We're going to have to burn this bitch down. And it's okay. Check it. When I went through my hard times, I learned some lessons. I did. I adopted that attitude of gratitude, that's for sure, because I was like, we not doing this again. I am never putting myself in the position of this again. Not doing that. I'm never going to force things that aren't really for me. We're not doing that. No. But I had to flail. Now, I want to make sure I am honest. Yes, my father helped pay for my auto insurance. My mother slid me some money for gas and what have you. My father picked up the plus student loan. Okay? The parent student loan. Because he was like, well, I didn't go to school. This ain't my loan. I was like, really, Pops? I get that it's for the parents. He was like, no, I'm not paying that. Not paying it because I didn't go to school. But he covered those payments until I could take it back from him, which I did. But you have to fall sometimes. You got to fall hard. When we always come and save the day, people will never learn that you're going to have to do this by yourself sometimes. And it's not that you're not going to be there to catch them. We have caught them a number of times. Sometimes we catch them so often that they never get to strengthen their wings. We got to strengthen those wings a little bit. We got to back. Helicopter parents, maybe. Call it what that is. But even when they are adults, there are adults. We see it in our workplace. I don't have to worry about this because Gwendolyn's going to get it. See, Gwendolyn won't fail. Yes, I know, third person. Gwendolyn will not fail. Well, what I'm not going to do is not get my work done so that we don't get stuff done. What we're also not going to do, though, is allow you to ride my back like I'm some pony and you never get your work done, yet and still you are enjoying the fruits of this labor. That's going to be a no. Think about it. How you are not qualified for a job, but yet and still they're asking you to train this person for the job, knowing that you're not going to say no because you're a team player. You're going to save the day. If someone doesn't come in, you're going to come in and work 2, 3, 4 shifts because I'm here for the team. You got to cut that out. This savior complex, it is a no-go. It is not sustainable. It's not your job. And it doesn't have to be who you are. Some things have to cease and desist. That is one. There is a time and place to let the house burn down. I mean, make sure everybody gets out, I'm just saying. But there's a time and place to let it burn. Because people are going to have to learn. You have to learn. You have to hold your hands back. Be like, I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to get involved. I'm not going to get... You guys, come on now. I know you guys know it. The family chat with the foolishness, the back and forth foolishness. And there's a party that says, if I just jumped in really quick and explained this, it could be over. It's not your job, not your place. Let folks figure it out. The same way, like my mother would always tell me, take your PTO, take your vacation, because when you are dead and gone, they're going to figure it out. They're going to find somebody to work your shift, which is true. We are replaceable at our jobs. Now, in our family circle, you have to think, what happens when I'm not there? Because it's going to happen. There is a place when you're not going to be there. You know what that means? I believe that perhaps we should talk about doing some work. Okay, ladies, okay. Now, I am speaking from honest experience. It's hard. It is. You know, when you're one of the people that people turn to on a consistent basis, and you have to put that line up that says, I am out of office, it is easier said than done. I am not even going to sugarcoat that for you. Now, I am years into setting those boundaries. I'm years in. I recall just a few years ago, I had a very heated conversation with a family member because of the request that was being made. And I was like, I'm so over this. I'm so over it. So you may get to a place where you want to pop off, and it may feel good, but you don't want to do that. We don't want to go to that place. It should never get there. But you have to start working with yourself to step away from situations and removing yourself from the center of it all. One, I don't believe it's good for anyone's mental health. I just don't think so. That's my own personal opinion, because you find yourself picking up the weight and the worry for every single person, and it's just not sustainable. It's just not. More importantly, how do you make time for you and what you are going through? Now, lucky for me, I have a friend who, when this warrior gets weary, I would turn to her, because every soldier has to rest at some point. Every soldier does. And for a number of us, we don't have a place to rest. We don't have the ear to turn to because we've always been the ear for everybody else. And then where do you go to release all of this pain and worry and stress? Where do you go? In 2020, we had a lot going on. There are a lot of people going through a lot of things. And I remember telling my team, if you need to talk to somebody, call me. I'm here for you. Like, I'm here. That was the right thing to do for my team, because I could see what they were going through. And I didn't want anyone to not feel that they didn't have some place to release all that was happening. Are we going to be open? Am I going to lose my job? People are rude and disgusting and awful humans. Like all of that. Like they needed a place to let that go. I became that place because that's my team. That's what I believe managers should do. Okay, well, what happens when Gwendolyn hits the wall? What happens when I now need to say, I need to step away really quick because somebody's about to get cussed out. So what happens? Now, for me, I did have my manager, but I knew that I could go outside, do my meditation, sit in the sun. At that time, my husband's grandmother was still alive. So we would sit outside together because she needed to get outside to exercise her bones, walk around. So I would sit outside and watch her and enjoy some sun and let all of it out into nature. So I had a process for myself. But I also knew that it wasn't my job to try to fix everything in the office. That wasn't my job. I got my granny here. I got my granny and I got my household. I'm not worried about anybody else. I have loved ones who were sick with COVID and who were passing away. I won't worry about anybody else. When they were asking for extra shifts, I may have said, look, I can come on 15 minutes, 30 minutes early, maybe an hour, because I don't get overtime. But I wasn't staying till the end of time. No, those emails, they can wait because it's an email. If it was that serious, they could have called. That was my attitude. It is still my attitude. I wasn't putting myself at risk, running myself into the ground for what? So for those of you right now who are dealing with this savior complex, you're going to have to sit with yourself. And I love a really good exercise where we have the 2 list of 1, how am I enabling other people? As in, what's awful behaviors? And they're not always awful, but they kind of are awful. What behaviors am I enabling? And then what would be the result if you didn't get in? If you left yourself out of the mix, what would happen? So if you didn't let Johnny borrow $20 for gas that he never gives back because, well, as my mother says, if you're going to loan somebody money, know that you're giving it away. So don't give away what you cannot live without. Just saying. So on that list, you are saying, here are the behaviors that I enable because I'm trying to save the day. Here are the things that happen from these people. And then over here on the other side, you say, if I didn't put myself in there, what would happen? We got to start creating some boundaries, but we also have to recognize how we are part of the problem because it's us. If your whole identity is tied up into being the savior of the day, I don't know, it may be time for something new. There's a whole world out there that's waiting for you, that needs your other geniuses, that wants to see you shine bright and show up. The world requires that. And I don't know if we can get it if you are running ragged trying to save the day over here. Personal opinion, I'm just saying. But I'm also speaking from experience. Yes, experience. Been there, done that. You know, the phone call doesn't ring as often as it used to because we're not trying to save anybody. Now, I will give people like a good ear. They got 15 minutes to go on and on about whatever. And after the 15 minutes, whew, I am done. It's like, okay, we talked about it, you hemmed and hawed. What's the solution? Because I can't stay here with you. We have to check our part of the equation before we make these changes. Now, is it going to feel awful? Yes, because you're always like, golly, I so want to do. My grandson, really quick before we wrap this up, my grandson was having a time at his job, and his manager was breaking all of the employment labor laws, like all of them, texting his phone, all kinds of weird stuff. And it took everything in me and his grandfather to not go up to that restaurant and say, look, lady, this kid right here, yeah, it's not our place. It's not our place. As much as we wanted to do it, we didn't do it. It's not our place. Some things may have to burn. Now, it doesn't have to always burn, but some things are going to have to go down without you. But know this, as we're moving through these changes and recognizing ourselves, and we're having this self-accountability conversation, make sure you give yourself the space and grace to grow and learn. We'll see you in the next one.